What's up, everybody? This is Monkeypuzzle, and I'm in Creative on my more recent test world, and I'm working on designing a module, a mob farming module, for my home world. The old mob farm I have there doesn't work that great anymore. It was based on mobs voluntarily walking on signs and falling through slits, and didn't account for the new behavior where they or non-behavior when they freeze when they're more than 32 blocks from you. So just playing with, there's a lot of new ideas out there, and I was playing with some. Kind of came up with a hybrid of a number of ideas here. Haven't come up with a fancy name for it yet, but it's kind of like a UFO toilet bowl. You'll see in a second. Right now, the flush cycle just got activated. It's activated by the mobs themselves. There's a four-way AND gate in there that turns it on. Basically, there's these pads on four corners which are activated by pressure plates above, and when all four of them go on right now, the thing does a self-flushing cycle and clears everybody out. Uh, Take you down here to have a look, and I'll talk about some of my design process. This is this creative world. I made an MC edit, but MC edit doesn't work too well for me right now. I can't get past the first couple screens, but I managed to make a 64 high, fairly large flat space. It's by a jungle apparently, or used to be a jungle, and it's just got gazillions of ocelots, which is pretty funny. But so over here, right now I'm just killing all the mobs. This could easily be rigged up as an XP farm, but I'd use my blazes for that. Just dropping them on fence gates, because the block and a half high helps keep the water from saving them from the fall. Occasionally some do survive, so I've got this little sizzler here, and the spiders tend to survive. There's quite a few items down there. Right now there is 100 items there. Oops. That's F3. And clean all that up. And they just keep coming. So, yeah, there's the four corners. See, that one's lit right now. Somebody's on there. And as soon as there's a critical number of mobs, I find it takes anywhere from 16 to 30 something to trigger it. Right now, let me see, we got 30 mobs in there, so it won't be long before it gets triggered. I just need somebody to step up there and step up there. It's kind of random, but I like that part. I like that they regulate themselves. And I'll show you how this works in a second. I just want to get one more flush here. Can't really predict it. We've got 38, 39 mobs in there, so it's just a matter of time before this one gets triggered. There we go. And now we've got the flush cycle. And this part's fun, because you just get oodles of mobs just dropping down. And remember, this is just one module. These could be stacked quite high, although there is a limit to how many you would do. But anyway, it's not at max production. When I have timed this one module, it's doing about 2,400 items a minute. Or excuse me, an hour. 2,400 a minute would be really good, but an hour, which is not bad for one thing. The number of them that you could stack is dependent on the way you trigger it, because right now if it takes about 30 mobs to trigger it, then if you had too many of them, there wouldn't be enough mobs in each one and they wouldn't turn on. But that can be changed. It can be triggered a little bit more easily. So the way this works is inside here, there's four corners. I can't break it open without breaking a bunch of redstone, but there's four corners that have the pressure plates, and each one of these is adjacent to a corner with a piston. Like I said, when all four corners are hit and turn on this pad of redstone here, then it turns off this torch. And when both of these torches get turned off, when both of these pads are on, and it's the same thing happening on the other side, then this redstone line can turn off. But it takes both of these being on for this to turn off because it's got these two torches on it. So this is the basic AND gate. Pass it under this line here, and then the two signals from the two sides meet here. There's an overlap of effect on this line coming from that side and that side. So if both of them have to be off for this place right here to be off. And then my kitty here is standing on the key point. This activates this torch here, which then turns this line on and flips this RS NOR latch right here. And for those of you who don't know, an RS NOR latch is just basically how to make a toggle switch with redstone. So when the power hits this, that turns off, this turns on. And I can show you manually over here how that works. So this is on, which this turned all the turned all it's dropping all the water in all four corners. It actually turned the pistons off. And then there's this long delay before the RS NOR gets reset and everything turns off again. So the flush is dependent upon the mobs reaching a certain critical mass. Now if you want it to be able to be flushed with fewer mobs, what you can do is you could reduce the number of pads that need to be on like this. Basically you just remove one of these torches and you connect these two pads with one line of redstone. Now either one of these pads could be on and it'll turn the torch off. So now this thing will activate twice as quickly, basically. It could take half the number of mobs, or just so it could cycle more quickly. And we could do that on the other side. Do the same thing. Oops, lost my bearings. Where was I? No, the other side. We could do the same thing over there. So the way I came to this, oh, and by the way, you may have seen, it does have an Enderman leak. Endermen teleport in water. I was hoping if the thing was completely sealed, I'm having a little lag in here, I'm sorry about that, but anyway, we'll get through it. If the thing was completely sealed, I was hoping that the Endermen wouldn't be able to teleport out of it, because I know you can beat them up in a sealed thing and they can't teleport out, but apparently water makes it so they can just teleport out anywhere within a certain range. I have a solution for this, and I will get to that before the end of this video, which won't be too long. So the inspiration for this was from a couple sources. I mean, one, we know what we need to do with the new mob AI, the freezing behavior past 32 blocks, and they're too smart to walk off signs most of the time. I've seen it do them sometimes, so people have been working on it. This is a module from JL2579 and his server crew that they developed. This looks a little different than theirs. This one's fortified with extra blocks just to keep the sunlight out of it. And a nice change that I've noticed is that that half slabs will actually block out light. Even though there might be some light effects in there, it's actually totally dark in there. I've got this manually on so the spawny wouldn't compete with the other module I made, but basically it's all dark in there, and there's just 2 lines of 7 pressure pads. A mob spawns in here. It's only too high too, so you don't get Endermen. Mob spawns in here, anywhere in here, and the pistons are automatically triggered. Water flows down, stops here, and anybody's pushed straight off. So it's pretty ingenious. It takes a whole array of these though to get quite a few mobs. They had this massive complex of them. Also, the other thing about it is that the piston to spawning site ratio is kind of high. It takes 1 piston for every 7 spawning sites, which is not too bad compared to some. I mean, there's the ones with 1 pad, 1 piston, and as soon as a mob spawns on a pad, it gets pushed off. That's a 1-to-1 ratio. What I like about the new one I just came up with is it uses a lot of redstone, but it only uses 4 pistons. And that's the design of it right there with the water. And so it's 18 by 18. So that's, what is that, 324 spawning sites, 324 blocks, minus these 12. So it's 312 blocks. So there are, whatever, 312 divided by 4. Can't turn my calculator on right now. Oh, here it is. 312 divided by 4. So there's 1 piston for every 78 blocks, which I like. Will create a lot less lag in the long run, even though I'm getting some, probably from those 300 ocelots or something I've got over there. This was also partly inspired by Monkey Farm. Did a manually flushing mob system called Mobs on Demand, and he had his water in this pattern, and he would turn it on manually from a lever below. Had lots of levels of the stacked. It's only too high, and so there was no Enderman would spawn in here. There'd be channels here that the mobs get dumped into, and then he had ways to have water channels to collect them all in the center. So this is sort of a hybrid of that. It's of the Mobs on Demand and JL2579's The Flow, they called this system. So that leaves us with the Enderman issue. I tried first, this is a slightly smaller one, is I tried to exclude Enderman from it totally. I lowered the ceiling in the area where it gets 3 high, and which also gave me a nice spot to put a lot of the wiring, which I could then cap with the half slabs and make it a little neater looking. And then in the little drop off point that has to be 3 high, I put ladders, because ladders have a hitbox, but it's not big enough to keep the mobs from falling down. However, this did not work. And the reason was with the mobs would flow to here, and then as they always float, they would just hang out here until the water turned off, and then they'd fall down, which then they'd be on the lower level, and the next flush might get them if they hadn't gone back up. But it wasn't really good. You'd never get a complete flush every time, and that was the big point of this system, is to be able to completely flush the mobs every time. And I actually do want Endermen. I like the pearls. But so far I haven't seen a system with water that also gets Endermen, and I've come up with a solution for that. So I'm going to sit myself down here on the bleachers in the creative test world, and I'm going to take you to the solution. I'll see you in a second. Alright everybody, we've magically teleported to what I call my home world. This was a world generated in 1.8, which this video is actually going to be an entry to show you more of it later. Right now we're just on top of my blaze grinder. This is a design that I got from Hobo Rabies and Sir Rob Hi-Fi. 2 folks I know who originally came up with this. Theirs were slightly different, and this was my take on it. The basic piston pusher funnel system for the blazes, and then I've got the crusher softener, and I throw damage potions at them. The basic setup, but we're not here to see this right now. The reason I took you over here is when I first was conquering this blaze spawner. A little lag there always when I leave the blazes. When I first was conquering it, I made myself a little portal here. This was not the original portal I came in. The other one's quite a ways down. It's down the hallway that way. All these cacti, if you're wondering, were just to lower the number of zombie pigmen bugging me. I made this to set a bed, so in case the blaze killed me, I would be nearby when I respawned. And it took me out to an area that was just all ocean as far as I could see. I was like, what the heck? Okay, I don't know if I'll ever use this spot, but actually I've realized this area is going to be quite useful. I've just been preparing it I built, let me see, oh, how do I get up here? Oh, right here. Basically, I built a roof over the whole thing that's covered with water, and then the inside, as you notice, is only 2 high. So I'm working on excluding any place that Endermen could teleport to. Up here, I started to manually build one of JL25579's, that's a mouthful, one of his flow modules. Instead, actually, I decided to just go a little faster, and I'm going to, I'll take you to creative, and I'll show you what I did. See, no land in sight. Okay, we're gonna do the Enderman thing, and we're gonna teleport. Here we are. So this is the same one. I just made a copy and switched it to creative, and quite possibly I'm having some success with my test, but I guess that gives it away already. But what I've done is I built one module of the flow here, but I was really careful the whole time to make sure there's no place that an Enderman can teleport to that doesn't have water. Everything is roofed with water. There's no 3 high spaces anywhere except in here. This is normally closed to keep the light out. But instead of waiting for Endermen to spawn, we're going to use the spawner eggs. Yeah, so this is a 3 high version of the flow, just to demonstrate what's going on here. And hey, they're taking the damage, but they're not teleporting. Let's try that again. What? You guys got nowhere to go but down. And do it one more time and show them actually dropping to the bottom. So there they go. They're falling down. 2, 3. So it works. The only safe spot for them is in there, and they don't even seem to teleport to that. There's a gazillion abandoned mine shafts and ravines and things down here. I've taken a peek, but I think the closest one is more than 32 blocks away from that, which is 23 blocks away from that pad right there. 23, 24, 25, I forget. Enough to kill most of the regular mobs. Yeah, so that's my proof of concept. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go back to the survival version of my homeworld, and which is called Uchawi, by the way, which is the Swahili word for magic. And the word magic was the seed for this world in 1.8. And there's a lot of cool stuff to show you here. But just starting with this one little glimpse of this project. Yeah, so I'm going to make those mob flusher UFO toilet modules here. Stack 2, 3, maybe 4 of them. Build it all manually in survival. This was just so I could do a quick test before I wasted my time. And then I will bring you guys back to see how efficient that is. These are my bleachers here again, but this time they got to be covered with water so that the Enderman can't go over here. I had this over here. This marks a spot just 1 block more than 24 blocks away from here when I want to let them naturally spawn. I didn't have the water on it, and the Endermen actually were teleporting to this little pad before I covered it with water. Covered that, and we're all good. So thanks for watching, folks. That's my proof of concept that you actually can do a water flushing system with Endermen as long as there's no teleportable spaces in sight. Thanks a lot. This was Monkeypuzzle again. Please subscribe if you want to follow me in this design process. Thank you for your time, and I will see you all next time. Or actually, I won't see you all next time because I can't. I'm just looking at my computer. But you will see, you won't even see me. You'll see whatever I'm holding, and you'll see my world. Alright. Bye-bye.